Good morning and welcome to Wake Up to Broker Up with Mark, episode number 30 for 2026. Last week we talked about presenting offers and we talked about writing it up as opposed to talking it to death. And this week we're going to talk about a very similar thing, which has to do with during the transaction when people have questions or have things they want to get accomplished, whether it's the seller wanting to move the closing date back because they need possession, or whether it's the buyer needing to move the closing date up because they've got places to go and things to do. Stop talking it to death. Grab an amendment. Fill out this amendment based on what your client's needs are and send it to the other side. In other words, formalize it. Why would you want to formalize it? Because when you do, you force the parties that are part of the contract, yep, those people that are contained within the four corners of the contract, to get involved and to actually talk to each other through the medium of amending the contract. In other words, we've got the contract binding between the parties and the agreement states this and the parties agreed to this, and now they want to make a change to that. And you need to do it with an amendment. And it's interesting because people will go out on rocks, ask questions, etc., as if any of you out there, any more than any of the brokers would know what the parties are thinking and what the parties want to do. The best thing to do is whip out an amendment, fill it out the way the client that you're working for wants, and then send it to the other side. In other words, don't be subject to the other co-op's opinion. Go ahead and ask on behalf of the person you represent, and the way you do that is through an amendment. Happens every day, all day long. I see things about, for instance, another meaning before the offer was made, questions about how to fix something or there's something wrong, and meanwhile the buyer's not making an offer on the property because they're concerned about whatever it is they're concerned about. And instead, somebody, I know it's not that pace of the market currently, but somebody could come along who looked at it 3 or 4 days ago, had similar questions, but went ahead and made an offer, got it under contract, was going to figure it out during due diligence. Yep, make the offer, write the amendment. Get the parties talking to each other through the medium of the four corners of the contract. It makes a difference. Let's give them a voice in the proper venue. Let's let them talk to each other contractually. You might be surprised what people will do if you give them an opportunity to do it. And then if you're representing the buyer and you want things done, the buyer wants it to be their contractor, their person, their this, their that and stuff, write it up that way. You'd be surprised. I've said this a long time ago and I'll say it again. I'm probably going to say it again until you're tired of hearing it and stuff. The best transactions have the best people communicating. Get the parties to communicate, and the way you do that is through the medium of the purchase and sale agreement through the four corners of the contract. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your weekend. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.